What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Friday Night Shit Chats. I'm your host for this week, Nico, the movie master,
I'm your Huckleberry.
joined as always by my good friends, Dan the Heartthrob,
What's up? Welcome back, everybody.
and then, of course, we got Nick the Dungeon Master.
What's going on, guys?
Gentlemen, welcome back for another Shit Chats. Why don't we get tonight started by letting everybody know what we're drinking? Tonight was my choice, and I found something I found interesting. It's called Cali Squeeze Blood Orange. It's a citrus wheat ale. Apparently, Cali Squeeze is, as the name implies, from California, brewed in California with real fruits. They take pride in using fresh California fruits and not using any extracts or preservatives, at least in the fruits, I believe. Yeah. Blood Orange, inspired by a friend of mine who really loves Blood Orange and figured they'd like to hear about it. So let's give it a try.
Mine was already open. I'm sorry. I can't make the cool noise.
That's so good. Okay, this is it. It reminds me of like a Spindrift almost.
Okay. Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
It's a little tangy.
Yeah, it's a little tangy. It looks like it like the flavor. It reminds me of like Spindrift, like orange Spindrift or something. But it's not as like it's not like a muted flavor like Spindrift is. Whereas it has a little bit more flavor. It does, kind of mask the beer flavor a little bit, at least for me. What about you guys?
This is one of those ones I could probably have one, like, at the beginning and or at the end of the night, and then be good. So it's okay.
I like it.
It's okay. It's all right. I'd probably drink the 6-pack, and we'll see. I probably wouldn't buy it again, but thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, I don't see myself. I mean, some of the sweet beers are fine, but I don't see myself drinking this one again.
Oh, it's like Firestone Walker. They actually make that 805 beer. Remember, Nick?
Oh, yeah.
Had you find me a 6-pack of that?
Fused with lime, right?
Yeah, it was like the 805 is like brewed with lime.
Okay.
That might be our beer for one of the future shows.
Nice. Oh, you know what? Have either of you guys tried the Corona, the citrus Corona?
No, dude, damn it. That's what I should have got for this week. I was thinking about it, and then I was like, it was between that and this, and I was like, let me try this because it was blood orange, and then, yeah.
All right, maybe I'll make that mine, unless you want to take the reins on that one, Nico.
No, man, by all means.
Just plenty of beer.
Some would say
Maybe
too
you're
much.
out there for the rest of us.
Never know.
Anyways, guys, so we have a little topic for this week. I was thinking about books that I've read and books that I want to read. And so this week, the topic is going to be all about books. Either ones that we've read recently or maybe as kids, or, I mean, hell, even if you want to talk about ones that we had to read in high school, like, Catcher in the Rye and other dumbass books like that.
I didn't read Catcher in the Rye.
I didn't technically either, but
I don't even know if I listened to anyone read it to me. No.
Hold on one second. I had a burp coming, but it's not gonna. Wait. There we go. Awesome. It smells like blood orange. Tastes like it. So, Nick, you want to let us know of any books that stuck out to you that you read as a kid, or maybe ones that you enjoyed reading so much that you might have reread them, or that you just liked as a kid, maybe?
Man, you're assuming I read as a kid.
I mean, listen, you are a dungeon master, so I know you had to have read some stuff, right?
Man, so, yeah, I mean, I have. The whole those of you that do know about D&D and those of you that don't know about D&D, and maybe some people that know just about 5th edition. So 3.5 is what a lot of us refer to as the Dungeons and Dragons Bible, or like the rule book, because back in 3.5 everything had a rule for it, and there were so many like what we call supplements. So like, you'd have your player's handbook, and then your dungeon master guide, and then your adventures, and then there was a dungeon master guide 2, and then there was a player's handbook 2, and then there was books for. I mean, there was books for everything. There's books for like gods, dark gods, devils, demons. There was books for sex, and and some of it was so ridiculous too. Like there was, some of the spells that you could get were like, because condoms didn't exist, you can make your seed infertile with this level 1 spell, kind of thing. Yeah. So, but oh yeah. I can't remember.
No,
was it Vile Darkness? No, Vile Darkness is something else. I don't remember what that one is, but I used to have a copy of it, but I gave it away when fifth edition came out. But I pretty much read probably 85% of the 3.5 rule books. I literally had a stack that was probably as tall as my son right now, full of Dungeons and Dragons books.
Oh,
It was a lot.
I mean, don't you now currently? Anything?
I do, yeah. Well, that's all 5th edition. I wasn't going to DM for 5th edition, but yeah, that didn't happen.
I mean, you are the dungeon.
Well, exactly. I thought I would be, because like we've done. And I know this is about books, but I've actually read the D&D advanced rules, and like I've played a session of that as like a one shot, I guess you could say. But the rules are vastly different. Like your AC before, because like before you had to. Oh, I have to remember how it goes. But anyway, D&D talk aside, I've read a lot of actual like rule books for D&D. So if we're counting that, I've read a lot of books. Not to mention all the adventures for 3.5 and almost all the adventures for 5th edition. The only ones I haven't read were the ones I'm playing as a character in, because I like to ruin the story. It's not fun then. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
Any more about D&D?
Dude, okay, yeah. So I guess we can keep talking about D&D. So there's actually a few books that are set in the universe of Dungeons and Dragons. And a good friend of mine used to read The Legend of, I'm gonna say his name wrong, Drizzt. Yeah. Yes. And after I got into D&D hardcore, I picked it up, and it is a great series. I think it just ended in 2023. Or they're writing a new one, but it started in the late 80s. I want to say it was 89 or 88 or 87, around there, late 80s. And there's 39-ish books. And I think the last one was written in 2023. So it's a fantastic series. If you guys like the D&D experience, I recommend picking it up. There are diehard fans of the series. I like it a lot, but I'm not a crazed like OMG everything is this kind of thing. And then another one that actually I recently read. Another friend of mine recommended that I read Dragonlance, because Dragonlance is a campaign setting and a adventure in 5th edition. And I didn't realize that it was actually a book, like a story. So I wound up like reading that digitally, and that's a really good one too. I enjoy. It's called I just said it, Dragonlance. So, and then I've read every single 5th edition adventure and rule book and lots of Dungeons and Dragons. But go check those series out. Legend of Drizzt, 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 and Dragonlance. Go do it right now.
You know, I forgot that. I think some of those. I don't know if it's the same stories or what, but some of those Legends of Drizzt, or even just comic books, even just stories with him in it, they made their way into comic books or graphic novels too. So
I bet they did. I really I would not doubt that one bit.
IDW, I think, published some of them, or maybe the more recent ones. But yeah, that's cool, man. I definitely want to check that out. I forgot that was a thing that, that the comic books were a thing, but I wouldn't mind reading the books of them either. So, Dan, what about you, man? What are some books that you grew up with that you liked or that stood out to you?
I mean, the first ones that come to mind are going to be Goosebumps.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I loved Goosebumps, man. I got every book I could from the library, and I was just obsessed with them. I was obsessed with the TV show, and like I think they put out a few movies too. But yeah, I just love reading those books. Those were like the first. I think that was like the first series of books that I really got into and read. The majority of them, at least the ones that I could find in the library. I mean, they were really popular back then, so they were always checked out.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, that was first series, and then Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark books. Those were good too.
Yeah.
I always read those. I always bought those in at the book fair and stuff. Those were good books. And then another one that I was really, really into, I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. It was called Cirque du Freak. They made a movie about it, but I think it was. I don't think the movie did very good, but the books are great, dude. I love the books. I remember reading the first one, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And I found out it was like a whole series, and it was just a crazy series that I really loved.
And that's when we lost. That's when we lost Dan.
What do you mean?
What do you mean by that?
I don't mean anything.
No, yeah, those were. I think that Cirque du Freak. It was like it was a series about vampires, pretty much.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty sick.
Oh, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like this kid that goes to like a circus and he sees like this one guy that stands out to him. He's like a vampire and has a spider, and the spider runs away. And he catches the spider, and then he becomes like the vampire's assistant, and it's like a whole thing. He goes into like the whole like underworld of vampires and shit like that. And yeah, it was really, really good. I just don't think the movie did it justice.
Yeah,
and the
I was
corny.
gonna say, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you good. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say about the movie. I think I might have watched it once. I remember seeing it like when it was coming out. I knew that it was a book series, but I never like picked up the book series. So, vampires, huh?
Hell yeah, dude! I love vampires.
Got to be better than fucking Twilight. I tell you that.
I've read Twilight before.
There ain't nothing wrong with Twilight.
I didn't read Twilight, and I never wanted to.
Yeah, it was okay. The thing is, like with Twilight, it wasn't like, I don't think it was good writing for Twilight, in my opinion. It was okay. I could read it, but I was like, once you read it once, I was like, meh.
Right. So I'll never have to read this again.
Twilight movies are better.
I don't know about that. I hated watching the Twilight movies.
Yeah. What's never mind. I'm not going to go down that road because then we'll start talking about movies, and this is a book episode.
should we have done a spoiler thing before like we start talking about books and endings and stuff like that? Like spoiler alert.
Sure. Yeah. Spoiler alert, folks. If you've read if you haven't read any of these books and want to, big spoilers for whatever we're going to talk about. For me specifically, probably the Harry Potter series and some other stuff. D&D for Nick more than likely, and
well, I'm not going to give away any of the stories.
Goosebumps. Oh yeah, because then you might ruin it for us in the future.
Maybe I wouldn't do that.
No, I know you won't. You're a good dungeon master.
I do my best. Some people would say that I'm not a good dungeon master, I guess you could say,
What?
because, well, okay, so the thing is there's, I mean, you guys know you play with me, but there's, I guess I'm going to go on a little bit of a D&D tangent again. I apologize. So are you guys aware of Critical Role?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware of Dimension 20?
Yes.
Not as much.
Okay, so Dimension 20 is run by, actually, what's his name? Well, Critical Role is run by Matt Mercer. And Dimension 20 is run by, oh my god, I can't think of his name. Anyway, there is, like a lot of people, Brendan Lee Mulligan. There we go. A lot of people have like what a lot of people will call Mercer syndrome, where they want every DM to be like Matt Mercer or like Brendan, and it's just like they do that as part of their job or as like, because I mean, Critical Role goes on tour. They have professional like sets made for them, characters, all this stuff. I have a full-time job, a child, a wife, a family. So and I can't put. I mean, I put a lot of effort, as much effort as I possibly can, into every single one of my campaigns. But there's people that have like Mercer syndrome, where if I'm not like Matt Mercer or Brennan, then I'm not a good DM. It's just how it is. So I think I'm a good DM because like a lot of people like to play with me, but also I probably wouldn't run it for an open group because they might have, look at it a different way because of what they know from Critical Role or from Dimension 20. So, and I just don't like I don't like when people compare things either. Like, well, my other DM, you know what? That's your other DM. I don't need to hear that. So, and maybe that's a little bit of insecurity on my end, but when you're in my game, you're playing by my rules. If I let some things slide, then I let them slide. If I don't, then I don't, right? So, but yeah, it's I don't know. I think I'm a good DM. Obviously, you guys think I'm a good DM, so I'll take it.
Yeah, if they don't like it, they can DM their own game.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. But have you? Never mind. I'm not going to go down that tangent. Moving on. I know there's probably a book series that all three of us have read, and I'm going to blurt it out right now. Animorphs.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The coolest series out there. Like, I was into Goosebumps too, Dan, and you reminded me. Like, I'm like, what books did I read as a kid? And I kept thinking Animorphs, and as soon as you said Goosebumps, I'm like, man, I was so into Goosebumps and that, but like, but Animorphs, I loved getting the new, like, seeing all the new
the covers,
animals. Yeah, the covers.
All the covers were
so yes.
Especially the ones that had like that front page that like tied into the cover, because they had like a hole that would like, and it'd be like a splash page or something. Oh man, that was so awesome.
Yes. Yeah, so let's see. I was right. It sounds like everybody. Read those books. That
Dude,
series.
Animals got so freaking sick when they started going into like outer space and like morphing into like aliens and shit. Oh, dude, it was so cool. Oh, it was so cool. I don't think I've read anything like it since.
Yeah, like Goosebumps and Animorphs are hard to. It's hard to replace or replicate because I feel like they had the formula down in the right time period, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if some of that stuff would have come out now, I mean, Goosebumps is having a resurgence, so I wouldn't be surprised if Animorphs was like close behind. But I feel like a lot of things from the '90s are coming back with like a vengeance.
Oh, nostalgia, buddy.
So
you know firsthand.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. What's not good?
Nope.
Moving on. So, I mean, talking about something that was really popular in the like 90s and early 2000s, Harry Potter. Harry Potter was my. it wasn't the first like book series that I read, but it was the first one that I like picked up and was really, really into. Like that, I was just like, I can't. I can't remember who got it for me, but it was either parents or like my aunt or uncle or someone got me a Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone book for like a birthday or Christmas or something. And I remember like picking it up and reading it because like I didn't read it right away, but it was like after a little while I finally like picked it up and started reading it because as a kid I would like read before bed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that was the first book I remember being like a page turner where it's like every like I would get like a chapter done and it'd be like, okay, it's bedtime now, but then I would just like stay up for another 30 minutes freaking reading, trying to get through the next chapter, or basically reading until I fall asleep and shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, and that really started me down the like kind of started me down the like fantasy route, I guess. Because I read Harry Potter before I started reading Harry Potter before I like read The Hobbit and shit, right?
Ooh.
But yeah, so that like kind of got me on the like fantasy kick, and then you know right around the time that Harry Potter was coming out, the movies had just started trickling out after like the fourth book because it got so popular. And then around that same time, like Lord of the Rings came out. My sister took me to go see Lord of the Rings. So Lord of the Rings came out. I watched that movie, and then I went to the library and found The Hobbit. I didn't know that The Hobbit tied into Lord of the Rings, but I recognized the name because you know Frodo was a Hobbit. I was like, oh, this must be about a creature like Frodo. And then turns out Frodo's uncle. So I'm just like, oh. So I ended up like reading and loving the shit out of that, and then eventually got like the Lord of the Rings books and started reading those as well.
Nice.
What else?
Let me interject real quick here.
Go ahead.
Dan, do you have any opinions on Harry Potter?
Harry Potter? Oh,
Yeah.
I never read the books as a kid.
Okay.
I tried to, and I had started them, but I just once I got like older, I think like past middle school, like I just couldn't. My attention span was just gone.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I couldn't concentrate on a single book. But my girlfriend loves the series. She's read all the books, watched all the movies, and I've like rewatched all the movies with her. And I love the movie series, and I can't really comment too much on the book because I didn't read much of them past like half of the first book. But yeah, I love the series itself.
Okay. So the reason I asked is because what's up?
I was just gonna say, what's your opinion of them?
So here's the thing. I probably have a different opinion on him, and you'll understand in a minute here why exactly that is. So I like the books. I like the setting is cool. The books are cool. I enjoy them. I enjoyed them from what they were, but I also hated them because I yearned for something that was never there. Because surprise, surprise, with all of my D&D knowledge, and like, oh, he's a wizard. He's gonna go on an adventure and cast all these cool spells, and yeah, that's not what that was about. So like, I don't think I hated it per se, but it wasn't what I was expecting when I heard that he was a wizard and there were witches involved. Because again, like witches in D&D are very crafty and they have a lot of cool spells that they can cast in D&D, and it just wasn't D&D.
Right.
So though I do like Harry Potter a lot, I'm not a huge Potterhead. I actually have a couple of friends of mine. They own like almost every wand, every pop vinyl. They're Potterheads. I love the series. I enjoy it quite a lot. I've read the books multiple times, seen the movies multiple times. In fact, a couple of years ago, I rewatched the movies like within the last probably year and a half. So I've seen them all recently. But it wasn't what I was expecting when I started getting into it. It was like, oh, why is it modern? Where's the fireballs and the lightning bolts? Where's mage armor and what is going on here? So I liked it for what it was. Just wasn't what I was expecting when I started reading about witches and wizards. So
Understandable, given that your knowledge of it up to that point was from D&D. So
fair enough. Thanks for the pity.
Well, no, I'm just saying,
No,
like, you know, I could understand why you would be like upset at the fact that it's not what you were expecting, and it wasn't quite what you wanted out of it, because you were expecting something D&D related.
True, but
I got closer to that.
I feel like I got pleasure out of it anyway, just because, like, again, like you said, I feel like the books were written in a way where, like, you couldn't put it down, and so I did like that about it, because I was the same as you. I was like, I finished this chapter. It's kind of late, but I kind of need to know what's going on with Dumbledore and Harry, and so I'm like, well, guess I'm gonna be tired tomorrow, and you just read the next chapter, and then before you know it, it's 4:30, and you're like, guess I'm gonna be really tired. So, but yeah, I know I was coming from a place of, like, you know, playing fantasy games. Like, I played a lot of Diablo before Harry Potter came out, so I'm thinking wizard or sorcerer. I'm like, oh, you know, meteor storm and fireball and firewall and, you know, telekinesis and teleport. No, none of that stuff. Dude had an invisible cloak and casted, like, trickery at best. So. Then your Lord of the Rings. How did you react to Lord of the Rings when you first read it?
I'll be honest. Well, so when I read The Hobbit, I really liked it, but that's because The Hobbit is definitely a kid's book, whereas The Lord of the Rings is much more mature.
Yes,
and I was confused with some of the language that I was reading. Especially at the time that I was reading it. I could read it now. At the time, it was definitely difficult. Even though I was, like, a little ahead in like my reading level at a young age, but, like, it was still, like, difficult. It was still like, what do some of these words mean? And my parents taught me that, like, if you see a word in something you're reading that you don't understand, look it up in the dictionary. There were words in there that were not in the dictionary because they were made up words. Then again, I mean, you know, all words are made up, but these were ones that, like, were made up by the guy who wrote the story, and, like, he had his own compendium of terms and knowledge that go along with this, which I did not have. So, but
yeah, so. Kind of along. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you there.
Yeah, my bad. I was just going to say, and on top of that, it was similar to the movie, but then also very different than what I expected from the movie.
Yeah, so I will agree with that. When I first read Lord of the Rings, I hated it. I was like, no. And then, like, I reread them before I watched the movies. And I'm like, okay, this is much better. And that's still coming with all of my D&D knowledge. I was like, I didn't hate it. Okay, I guess I'm being harsh. I didn't care for it. Let's put it that way. But then, like, I don't know, something like after I don't remember how long in between reads that I did, but I remember reading it and not liking it, and then putting it down and, like, completely forgetting about it. And then I watched the first movie. And then I reread the books again, and I wound up really liking the books and really liking the movies. But also, that's the kind of stuff I like. Like, you know, giant army of orcs versus a fortress. Like, that was like seeing that from the book to the big screen. And don't get me wrong, the battle between Harry and Voldemort on the big screen was fucking awesome. But I feel like from the Lord of the Rings aspect of things, that battle with the orcs was good in the books, fantastic on the screen.
You're talking about are you talking about the Battle of Helm's Deep, or are you talking about?
I think so.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. That's the one. That's from the second movie, right?
Yeah.
Battle of Helm's Deep. Yeah, great freaking scene. Like,
yeah,
I think that's like one of those scenes that like changed cinema type shit. So because it was just like, oh, we can do shit like this.
Yeah.
Which like that's another thing. Anyways.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
I've never read The Hobbit. I have not read, or they have a movie of that now too, right?
Yes, but the movie just does not do it justice.
Okay.
I remember being somewhat excited for the movie to come out, and then after seeing the trailer, I was like, "Where's Smaug? Where's Smaug at? Why is he not in the movie trailer?" You would think the one thing that they're going to freaking fight, like at the end of this movie, is not in the trailer. Turns out, oh, we're splitting it into 2 movies. It's like, okay. And you would think me being a cinephile, I would be okay with that. I was not.
Oh, okay.
I was very much not okay with that because it was like, to me, it was just like, okay, now they're kind of overinflating this. This is kind of ridiculous. And then when they turned it into a third movie, the whole third movie, by the way, should have ended after they killed Smaug. So like, it was just like, okay, this sucks. And like, I didn't go see the movies. I saw the first movie, I think, in theaters. Didn't see the second or the third one in theater because I wasn't for it. I was like, no, this sucks, dude. I'll wait until it comes out and I'll watch it later. And I did, and I didn't really like them, especially because the first one wasn't great. Because the book, they did some justice to the book, but they didn't, Peter Jackson, he stuck pretty closely to Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit, he just kind of fucking started throwing stuff at the wall at some point. I'm just like, what the fuck happened, dude? Like, you did so good on Lord of the Rings. Why not do the same for the fucking precursor? And I think the thing of it is that it went from being, it's supposed to be, I mean, it's a children's novel, more or less. It's like a young adult book, right? Mm-hmm. It went from being that put to screen to being trying to be like a big fantasy epic, which it is not. That's what Lord of the Rings was. And again, they wanted to kind of, and that might not be Peter Jackson's fault. That might be part of the studio's fault. But like, they wanted to cash in on the popularity of Lord of the Rings, and thus, put 3 movies to screen and put the freaking big, huge, giant army battle in the last movie, which came out of nowhere. So it was just like, okay, sure,
great, thanks.
Right. It's like the biggest army battle that there should have been between the company and the freaking goblins that they encounter, which they do in the second movie or the first movie. I think it's the first movie. Either way, like, they took out Tom Bombadil, like all this shit. So it's just like, yeah, it was just not great. But I digress. The Hobbit is a really good book. And it was another point for me it was another jumping off point for me into like fantasy, especially like medieval fantasy and shit. But that's all from me for now. What about you guys? Is there any are there any other books, either maybe more recently or even ones that either more recently that you've read, or are there still some books from your childhood that you'd like to shout out right now?
Actually, I have a question for Dan, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dan, did you read Lord of the Rings or see the movies?
I did not read them, just watched the movies.
Okay, what'd you think of the movies then?
I love the movies. Movies were
okay.
great. Yeah, I loved all the big battle scenes. But yeah, it's another one kind of like Harry Potter, where I tried to read the books, but I was like, it just lost my attention on them.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because I know we talked about Lord of the Rings like for the last 5 minutes, and I was like, has Dan even seen those or read those?
I think we've talked about watching them before, if I'm not mistaken, right, Dan? We may have talked about.
I think we've talked about them in the past before.
Oh, okay. That might have been our first episode. I'm old. I don't remember exactly what we talked about in January, but
Yeah, you're
okay.
right. Yeah, I should have. I definitely should have asked if he had at least read them.
Yeah, what kind of
seeing
host are you? Oh,
Oh,
oh.
but yes, I mean, well, so Dan, are there any other books from your childhood, or maybe even ones that like you've read recently that you'd want to shout out, or that kind of stuck out to you?
Do you remember? What was it? I think it was 39 Clues. It's like a book series. That one was a pretty fun one. I think I only picked it out because of the cover when I was a kid. That's how I picked out most of my books.
The car, Mom.
The cover. But yeah, that was a pretty good book. I think it was like it was kind of like tied into like a game as well. And they had like cards and stuff for it. I think it was like 4 different series under in like the same universe, and I think they each had about like 10 books each, or four books each. I think.
What? It's not based on.
You remember? Is it? No, I think it was like like there was a game within the book or something like that.
What?
39 Clues.
Yeah, it's like an online game, so it was like
novels.
It was mixed with like an online game and then like card collecting as well, because they had like cards for it.
What?
Yeah, I think it was a good idea, but I guess a lot of people didn't read it back then.
Yeah, that's news to me. It's an interesting concept though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would assume, like, so what, you'd probably like go get the card pack and read the book, and as you're reading through the book, it's like has you try to solve something with the card pack, I guess.
Yeah, I think when you bought the books, like at the book fair, like they would come with a card pack for each book, if that makes sense. And then yeah, you had like an online game that you could play along with it and stuff. Yeah, each book came with like, I think, was it 16 cards?
Dang, that sounds pretty sweet.
It was. I think it was definitely like a great concept. I mean, thinking about it now, it might be something that I might want to look back into. I don't know if the online game is still like supported, but probably not. But I'm sure it's still like a good book to reread, or books to reread. So multiple.
Do you still have them?
No, I don't know what happened to all my. Well, actually, I might. I have like a few boxes in my garage with all my shit from school. Might be in there. Those cards are probably like PSA ones now, though. But yeah, I think that was like, I kind of gravitated more towards books with like the cool covers, or books that had like came with extra stuff that you would get at the book fair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean,
I read.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. You.
I was gonna say another one. I always. I was gonna say another book that I always bought at the book fairs were the world record books.
Oh yeah.
Not really reading, but I always bought those. But yeah, you go ahead.
I read a lot of the Magic School Bus books from the Scholastic Book Fair. I don't know if you guys remember those, but I was huge into the Magic School Bus, and they had like a book series on it, and it was just the episode in book form, kind of like they're doing with Bluey right now. Like, you got to buy all these Bluey books, but it's literally just the episode in text form. So it's like, but I really liked them, so I freaking had them all.
Nice. Was what came first, the Magic School Bus movie show, or the books? Because
I'm pretty sure the show came first.
Really?
I thought so. We can look it up.
I don't know.
I'll do my research.
I know. I remember seeing the Magic School Bus books and thinking that maybe the books came first, just because the art style was not the same. But that's just, I mean, that could just be a simple, like, print versus animation type deal.
I lied. It was definitely the books first.
Whoa.
The first Magic School Bus book was published in 1986, where the show aired in 1994.
Damn.
So that's
okay, I'm wrong.
That's like well, there's, I mean, because there's a bunch of those like kid books that were like that started out, well, they started off as books and then they became like TV shows. Like I think Little Bear was one of those. Franklin was like that. I can't remember what the name of the series is, but I remember it being a show. And when I found out it was a book series, I was like losing my mind as a kid.
This is a book.
Is it Big City, or is it? It's The Big World by Richard
Little Town by Richard Scarry.
Little Town?
Yeah, something like that, right?
It might be. It's either Little Town or like Little Big World. I can't remember what it is. No, Little Big World's a freaking video game. I just know it was by Richard Scarry. That's all I remember.
The Busy World of Richard Scarry.
Oh, it was called Busy, and there was Busy Town. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember that being like a kid's show.
That was also a point-and-clicks kids game when it was fantastic. I actually downloaded a free version of that and tried to play it with Gino. Gino one day. And, man, did it not age well, but it was freaking hilarious. Yeah, the Busy World of Richard Scarry from 94. No way. What? No way.
94.
That's when the show was, or that's when the books came out?
Look, it might be the show, actually. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, 94 to 96 for the show.
Yeah, because the artwork is,
late 80s, early 80s. Busy Town Mysteries, Richard Scarry's Best Silly Stories, The Busy World of Richard Scarry are the TV shows. Busy Town was from 2007 to 2010. Busy Town Mysteries.
The actual, like, the fictional town says from 63 to present.
There you go. So 63. Dang.
Jesus. Oh, Busy Town Mysteries. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. The 2007 to 2010.
Yeah.
Busy World of Richard Scarry, 94 to 97, the animated series. Huh.
Little worm dude.
Do you remember this by chance? That might have been a little after your time. Now I'm thinking about it. You were what? You were born in 90.
Ugh.
I was born in 97.
After the animated series was already over with. All right.
I don't remember those.
I only vaguely remember. I just remember the artwork. That's like the biggest thing that I remember, and then it was like anthropomorphic animals and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, yeah, dude, they did a lot though. They, like I said, they did it with Franklin. They did it with Little Bear. I know the Berenstain Bears was a book before it was a show at all.
Well,
Arthur was the same way.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Arthur books were great too, especially when you first realize like what Arthur originally looked like. Kind of scary at first.
Oh yeah, dude, those first graphics were horrible in the books. The artwork was a little scary.
It was a little scary, but like then you realize it was like, oh, like that's what an aardvark actually looked like, not in like the anthropomorphized version that they show on the show, and that they eventually started doing in the books to kind of match the show. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Have either of you guys ever read the Percy Jackson series?
I have not.
No. I didn't either. I was just reminded of it because of the 39 Clues. Apparently, one of the authors, Rick Riordan, he also did the Percy Jackson novels.
Oh, nice.
So that's why I was like, I brought it up. And honestly, I'm surprised I never did, just because like it's kind of right up my alley with Greek mythology and stuff like that. Um, but I think it had come out maybe just after my time as like being a kid and reading like those kinds of books and stuff, like the young adult books and stuff. Um, so I never quite got around to it. I have watched the 2 movies that they came out with, and I did watch the series on Disney Plus, but that doesn't count. So
It doesn't.
it does not.
Oh, okay.
What else? Okay, here's one that like has stuck with me for a long time, and actually I think I have the books lying around here somewhere. This is probably going to be a long shot in the dark. Have either of you ever heard of the Pit Dragon series?
No.
No.
Okay, so I'm just going to go on a little quick. I think it's called the Pit Dragon Chronicles. Just going to go on a quick little like rant about this really quick and give you guys an idea what it is. So it's a little bit older of a sci-fi novel series or science fantasy, I guess is what it's marked or labeled as. There are 4 books in this series, I believe. One of which actually I have not read. Now that I'm looking at it, so it's by an author named Jane Yolin, and the first 3 books. So basically, what it is it takes place on a faraway planet in a galaxy far, far away. No, this is not Star Wars. Where these like humanoid people, basically just humans, I guess you could say, they live on a desert planet more or less, and basically they basically have like a caste system, right, in terms of like how their society is set up, basically where the like high status people are the ones who are the ruling class, and anybody like lower than that kind of falls in line underneath them, so to speak. And so basically like the like rulers of a city, they have like slaves, right, or people who are indentured servants to them, right. And the way that these people kind of have come to power are by fighting dragons in like a coliseum, like raising, breeding and raising dragons, and then like either selling them to other people so that they can, have fights, or like, keeping, the better ones for themselves, and then going out and having the pit fights or whatever with the dragons, and making bets and making money off of them and stuff like that. So basically, what the story is about is about a young like slaved boy, who basically wants to get out of where he's in. He's only indentured. He's like been born into bondage because his like his mother or his father or whatever had made a bet or had owed this person money, and because they didn't pay it up, they had to freaking then work it off, and they died while in their care. So like then the boy has to basically pay off the debt and shit. Basically he sneaks into the dragon nursery one night, and steals an egg, and then runs away from the facility. And then basically most of the first book is him doing any and everything that he can to try and get this egg to hatch. And then once the egg is hatched, he has to try and keep this dragon alive and like train it and raise it so that way he can take it to the pits and get it to fight, and then hopefully make some money so he can buy his own freedom and shit. That's most of the first book right there. Eventually he does, like, spoilers if you guys plan on reading this, he ends up having to fight like his old master's dragon, and his dragon like almost dies to one point, but somehow, some way, like because him and his dragon have like a connection with one another, like they've truly like bonded or whatever. The dragon sort of like is revitalized and like comes back and kills the other, the old master's dragon and stuff. Um, ends up winning the match, enough money to like free himself, and then I mean so much so that the old master was just like, you know what, you don't owe me any money, like you're free, you did a great thing out there, and you did what I would have done, or something I once did, like back in your when I was your age, type of deal. That's the only way I came up in this world, type of shit. Um, Along the way, he meets a young woman that ends up being actually the master's like daughter, who he ends up falling in love with and eventually marries. And then the following books are like basically him as like a master himself now, and basically how he tries to raise, like he tries to start up a dragon nursery. His dragon that he used to fight now is becoming a mother towards the end of I think, no, maybe more towards the middle or whatever of the book. There's like a huge like military coup or something like that, where basically a bunch of people are uprising against the freaking like the higher ups and stuff, and they end up having to flee. They flee with his dragon, and then her clutch or her brood or whatever you want to call the nest of eggs. And basically like they try to raise them. The rest of the series is them raising them and like basically going on more adventures with these dragons and shit. Eventually to the point where like because they were something that was basically called they had to use his old dragon at one point to try and stay warm in the middle of the desert, and she had died, so they like kind of like Luke on freaking Hoth, they had to freaking cut open a tauntaun and put him in there so that he was stayed warm throughout the night. They are then quote unquote reborn from the womb of a dragon, so then they can now like see kind of like a dragon does, and then they kind of have like a link with her children. It's interesting. It's weird, but it's also really interesting and kind of cool. I always wanted to see it as a movie, and then I think at one point a long time ago there was like a clip of it made for like it was like an animation on like some old 80s show, like, but it was like really weird and kind of trippy and shit. So but it was a really interesting stories. So it's called the Pit Dragon Chronicles. The first book is called Dragon's Blood. The second is called Heart's Blood, which is the name of his dragon. Ascending of Dragons was the third book, and then the more recent one, Dragon's Heart, which I have no idea. I have not read that one. But it does still include all of the same characters, it looks like. So if you're ever looking for something like science fiction-y, science fantasy that's not Star Wars, it'd be one to maybe pick up. Does that sound like anything that would interest you guys at all?
That sounds pretty thick, man. It sounds like it's got a little bit of the like sci-fi fantasy stuff that I'm kind of into. And yeah, that definitely sounds like a great movie or even like TV series.
Yeah, I could see it as like a TV series would be kind of cool, but I don't know. It's not. I don't know how popular it was back when it came out. I mean, obviously it's not like over the moon popular like something like Harry Potter or Percy Jackson or anything like that, but excuse me. It's it's definitely interesting. Now I'm looking at it. It says the books are set in the far future on a desert planet called All-Star 4, which has a history and climate similar to that of Australia.
Ooh.
All-Star 4. Oh, that's really...
It sounds interesting.
Yeah, I definitely liked it when I was. I think I started. I think I read it in middle school, and then like found it some years later at a bookstore and like bought the set. So,
Nice. What you got to do.
yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's definitely the one that stuck out to me as a kid. So,
Oh yeah, man. As a kid, I don't know what else I really read as a kid. We had Goosebumps. We had Animorphs. I had Magic School Bus. The Berenstein Bears.
all right. Here's one. Were there any books that you guys ended up reading in school, whether it's at any point in school, that you ended up actually liking? If so, what were those books?
My first answer is yes, and it was because we read The Sorcerer's Stone.
Nice. You guys
Nice.
actually read it? Oh wow.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we read the first two books in I can't remember what class it was. Probably English of some sort, but I don't remember reading any other books in school that I was like, oh my god, that's my favorite book. No.
Oof.
You
I think
did?
it's
Anything?
yeah, in school. A couple come to mind actually. We watched well, we read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and then we watched the movie as well, and that was a really great book that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did, but yeah, it really like caught my attention. And the movie was good as well. And then another book that we also read in I think it was like middle school is called The Kite Runner. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
Nope.
Is
I've heard of it, but I don't remember.
sad book. It's a really like kind of like sad drama filled book. Another one that I really wasn't expecting to like, but I really took a liking to it. It's like about these two boys that grow up in, I think it's Afghanistan, like around the like Soviet Afghan war era, like before, like around the time that Afghanistan's monarchy like fell apart, and there was like a whole bunch of shit going on with like the Taliban, and yeah, so like it's a story about these two kids. One of them, like his father is like a really rich merchant, and then the other kid, his father is actually a servant for that merchant, and then both of the kids kind of grow up together. But then the rich kid's son kind of has a little bit of not sure what to call it. He's got like he just feels some type of way because his father treats the servant's son like the same or if not better than his own son, because he buys them both like the same things, like he buys them the same like toys and like always talks to him, and it feels like they're kind of both like kind of not fighting for his attention, but he only gives his attention to one of the kids. And yeah, it turns out that the son of the servant was actually the rich merchant's son as well, but he had him with another woman, so the kids were like brother, like half brothers pretty much. Yeah, and it's like a whole thing, and there's a lot of, I think it's actually banned now, the book in schools at least.
Oh
Because
wow.
there's like a really messed up art around the beginning, and then that's where it kind of turns into like this kind of sad story, and it just gets a little worse. But yeah, it was banned for that, and then I think like for some reason, like for like political and religious ideologies or something. I don't know, but yeah, it was pretty like dramatic and sad book, but it was like a really good read. Surprisingly, not something that I normally gravitate to, like drama or stuff like that, but it was something I did end up liking reading.
That definitely sounds interesting, man. I would have to probably. I remember hearing the name before, but I definitely have never read it. But that's sounds interesting. I would definitely like to read it. Who do you know who the author is of that by chance?
It's Khaled Hosseini.
Whoa.
They actually have a movie.
Oh.
Didn't see that.
That's maybe where I heard the name before. So as far as books that I read in school that I ended up liking, Holes is probably one that comes to mind. I didn't like it at first, but it did definitely end up like growing on me. Trying to think of what else. Like To Kill a Mockingbird was fine, but I don't know. I didn't really like it that much. It definitely gave you a snapshot of like what it was like being an adult in during the Depression era. But I don't know. Maybe because I was born in this era, while I can appreciate that, I don't know. It just didn't resonate with me, I guess. Hated The Great Gatsby. I
didn't mind it. I mean, I thought the book was okay. I liked the movie better than the book, but I did find it super boring at times. Like the book.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, the book was so boring.
Yeah, there was just times where I was like, "Shit."
Chapter 1.
No shit, dude. Literally, I remember being in class and reading it, and I got through, I don't know, maybe a couple pages, and I was just like,
put me to sleep right now.
Literally, dude. It's not a great book. And then the other one that really freaking put me to sleep, Catcher in the Rye. I had mentioned it earlier. It was not
God. So bad.
I don't know why people
not
think
even bad, just boring.
Yeah. It's really boring. And maybe it's just because they're products of their time, and people think that they're classics because of when they were written. But dude, I don't know. Fucking, have you picked up Harry Potter?
Nope.
Have you picked up a Goosebumps book? No.
Speaking of Goosebumps again, they came out with a series of Goosebumps that was Choose Your Own Adventure, didn't they?
Did they?
I thought they did.
Oh, maybe. Sure. It would, if not, it would be a good idea. Maybe you should hold on to that.
I'm pretty sure they did. Hold on, I'm using the Googles.
Give yourself goosebumps.
Is that what it was?
Choose the scare. That's what it says here. Yeah. Give yourself goosebumps.
Ah, yes. Yep. Choose Your Own Adventure. Mm-hmm. I remember these. So one of my favorite authors, I don't want to say growing up, was John Saul, and he was a horror writer. And boy, oh boy, do I love his work. One book that I will recommend, and if my cousin and my brother are listening to this right now, they will agree with me. The Blackstone Chronicles. It is a series of short books that make one super story. And my God, it was a fantastic book. It's so good that when I lent it out to somebody, I thought they were going to steal it from me. I repurchased the book to have as a side book. And I believe that was passed on to my niece on my sister's side. Recently, I saw it in a box, and I was like, oh, I love this book. I'm going to take this home with me. And my mother's like, no, we're going to give it to your niece. And I was like, okay. The Blackstone Chronicles. There's 6 books in total in there by John Saul. Fantastic series. I recommend. And they also had a point-and-click adventure game made out of the book, and that was a really good game. I don't think I can get it to run on these new systems, but if I could, I would play that again too. There might be a free version of it somewhere online. It was great. And then there was another one called The Hunt Club, and it was about like I don't remember if it was rich people or I think it was rich people were putting like poor people in the sewer system under the city, and they were like playing games with them in the sewers where they would kill them down there, like they would set traps for them. That book was really good. Oh man, there's
Is that
so
the
many.
Manhattan Hunt Club? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the Hunt Club. Yes, that's it. Right. What did I say? That's what I said, right?
No, you said the Hunt Club. It's the Manhattan Hunt Club. Right?
Yes, the Manhattan Hunt Club. Yes, yes, that is correct. I think Creature was a good one. That's an old one. Oh man, there's like Black Creek Crossing was one of them. That was 2000s. Trying to remember them all, but anyway, I like a lot of his work. There, the horror aspect of his books were really good. Dark of Night is a good one. That's recent. That's 2000s. We said Manhattan Hunt Club. You're right there. But yeah, I don't know. The one that sticks out for me the most with his writing was definitely Blackstone Chronicles. It's a good book. If you guys like horror or suspense, I guess you could say, read it. You won't be disappointed, and if you are, I'll let you punch me in the gut.
Can I just do that?
No, absolutely not, absolutely not. But yeah, no, I liked. I think I read. There's definitely more that I've read. I just don't recognize the covers or anything like that. Yeah, let's see. Dark of Night. I know that one. Manhattan Hunt Club. I know that one. Blackstone Chronicles. Oh, I guess they considered a thriller for Blackstone Chronicles. Brainchild? No, that doesn't look familiar. I don't know. But yeah, no, he was a good author. I read at least 4 of his books. So to me, that makes you a good author. But I don't think we can really talk about horror books without talking about the great Stephen King, right?
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, oh man, The Stand. What a Bible of a book. But man, oh man. It was great. Have you guys read anything by Stephen King?
Dan,
I've read a couple.
Don't all answer at once.
They're just so big.
I mean, Harry Potter was. Oh, you didn't read Harry Potter.
I didn't read Harry Potter. That's exactly why.
Dan just doesn't have big things in his hand, I guess.
Oh man, the only 2 that I read from Stephen King, and they were after watching the movie, were The Shining and Carrie.
Yes, those are 2 good books. I like Shining and Carrie.
2 good books and 2 good movies. 2 amazing movies. Well, they have a whole bunch of remakes for Carrie, at least.
I didn't care for Carrie the movie as much.
I didn't care for the most recent remake of it, but I like the older ones.
Okay, so I have a list of Stephen King books pulled up, and I'm going to name off the ones that I've read and give them a thumbs up or thumbs down. It, thumbs up. Shining, thumbs up. The Stand, thumbs up. 1408, thumbs up. I really like that movie. Pet Sematary, thumbs up. Carrie, book, good. Movie, meh. Haven't read that one. Green Mile, thumbs up. Misery, 2 thumbs up. I don't know what it is about that book and movie, but oh my god, it was good. Haven't seen that one. Salem's Lot. That sounds familiar, but I don't recognize the cover for that.
It's the one about the vampires.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No, I like that book. Thumbs up. The Mist. Thumbs up. I guess I did read a lot when I was a kid, huh? Those were the only ones that I recognize. Thinner was a good one. Thumbs up on that one. Am I missing one? I don't recognize any of the other ones, so I must not have read them.
About
Dreamcatcher,
Cujo?
thumbs up. I like those. So I liked everything Stephen King. He was a good author. I say was, he's alive, but I don't think he's written anything. But also he's inspired to be Lovecraft, so we can talk about that now if you want.
What? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
I said he's inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. I said now we can talk about that if you want.
Oh,
It's like a perfect segue into the Call of Cthulhu, which I mean, you know where I stand on that. It's one of the yeah. We've talked about that multiple times. It's one of my favorite things to read. And the thing is, like, and I understand, like, the verbiage. If you thought reading the Lord of the Rings was hard, reading the Call of Cthulhu, like, from the actual the compendium he has out, I can't remember. They call it something else, the full mythos or something like that. 1920s writing is just like, sometimes I think I even said it in the episode where we were talking about like comics and maybe even movies. But when I was reading that, I had to reread some of the pages like twice and decipher them. Like, oh right, that's okay, that makes sense. But man, if you like thrillers or whatever you want to call it, horror, cosmic horror thrillers, you got to go. You got to read some of the mythos, whether it's just the Call of Cthulhu version of it or, like I said, Mountain of Madness is really good. I personally like the Dunwich Horror, The Shadow over Innsmouth. All like it's just they're really good. Terrible Old Man was a good short story, but I feel like I've talked about this before on this podcast. Anyway,
we definitely had a whole episode about mythologies, so we about it quite a bit. I mean, not to discourage you from talking about it, though. By all means, if you want to talk about it, we could definitely talk about it.
I mean, it's just I don't know if it's I like horror stuff, so like that kind of fits right in with that, which is why I think I like John Saul and Stephen King. I don't feel like I get my fix of horror enough because my lovely wife Ashley hates horror, so anything scary or relatively scary is a big no-no when she's in the vicinity.
Oh.
So, yeah, scary movies is a no. Scary stories is, well, I mean, unless I'm reading it out loud, I guess she can't really stop me from doing that. But like, I remember watching the little tangent, I guess, watching the Dahmer series on Netflix, and I was painting minis at the time, so I was like kind of like listening and paying attention, like looking up when I and as soon as she comes out, I don't want to watch this. You gotta turn this off. No. So we wound up doing this thing where I watched it with my neighbor because she didn't want to be anywhere around us or me when I watched it. So she would go out, I would have him over, and we'd finish the series. So, but so I don't feel like I get my horror fixed enough. So I might have to start reading horror books. Again, I don't know. Read all of Stephen King's books again? Sure. Because I got time for that. But
how about Lord of the Flies? I haven't read it, but I've heard a lot of people like it.
The only
you guys
true
ever read
Lord,
it? Heard about it?
The only true Lord is the Lord of the Ring. No, I've never read it.
There's only one returns, and it's not of the king; it's of the Jedi. No, I'm just kidding. I read part of it because I was supposed to for school. That was another one of those books that it didn't grab my attention enough for me to like want to continue reading it. However, the like idea behind it is interesting. It's definitely interesting. It's kind of like a peek into what humanity is when there's no like real society to like hold people accountable for shit.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically like, it's a group of kids marooned on an island, and they try to like set up a like system of like a quote unquote society where there's like leadership and groups and this and that. but eventually things break down because they're like young teenage kids who were already um like um troublemakers to begin with, like mischievous to begin with. That was the whole reason why they were being sent. They were like, being sent somewhere to be like, basically like little prisoners, but then they end up getting marooned on this freaking this island and shit. And so they just end up basically fucking killing each other because you know like no one's there to freaking tell them, try to teach them right from wrong and shit like that, and they try to basically try to one up each other. And if boys are already kind of on that path and they're not getting the right sort of like swift kick in the ass or right guiding hand or whatever to try and teach them right from wrong, they will end up fucking doing stuff like that, or it seems like they will end up doing stuff like that. At least that's what the book was saying. So that's what I gleaned from parts of it that I read and then also things I paid attention from in class. I could be kind of wrong on that, I'm sure, but I also watched the movie, so.
No, I mean that sounds about right. Because I always hear a lot of references to it when I'm doing like reading some documentaries or listening to documentaries, or like I hear people reference it, like when they're talking about certain movies and stuff like that, or like, oh, it's a Lord of the Flies kind of thing. And I always wondered what the actual book was about. But yeah, I mean it does sound like a pretty good read.
What was I going to say? Oh, okay. So, just to kind of talk a little bit more about maybe books that we've read in school, and then it also kind of ties in a little bit into like having some Lovecraftian type influences. Have you guys ever read a Wrinkle in Time or seen the movie?
I have not.
Nope.
It's definitely like a young it's another young adult book. And it's another sci-fi or science fantasy type series that it basically takes place. I think it's in England, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, what happens is there is this girl and her brother. Her parents are scientists and basically are their dad has gone missing, and many people think that he just died or he ran away from his family. So this girl gets picked on quite a bit, and then because her brother might be potentially autistic, they don't really say that in the book, but they kind of lean towards that because he gets picked on a lot. He's different from people. He doesn't act quite the same as other people and stuff like that. So people kind of you can kind of interpret it as maybe back in that time he was probably what would be considered autistic now. Anyways, he gets picked on quite a bit, and then his sister, because she's older, she always sticks up for him and stuff like that. Basically, what takes place is that they get transported to another dimension or another world. And the whole time they're there, they end up hearing from people that their father might be alive. And it's kind of like there's a little bit of a mystery to it. There's there's some Lovecraftian elements to it, just because some of the beings that they encounter aren't like necessarily physical beings. They're much more ones that manifest themselves via people's senses. So people see them differently based on how they're perceived in their mind. Type of shit. It's a weird way. Like I can't necessarily describe it just because it's been a while since I've read the books. But more or less, that's how some of these characters like manifest and stuff. And some of them, it's based on like emotion and stuff like that. So like one person is like manifests themselves because of confusion. One is from happiness, another one's from sadness, and then like the ultimate, like the bad guys from Fear and Hate. Basically, like in this book, in the first book, in A Wrinkle in Time, they end up traveling through this dimension because what they end up finding out is that their father created a tesseract, which basically like bends time and like folds time basically. And because they accidentally activated it, they also get folded through this dimension where they end up eventually finding their father and then doing everything that they can to try and bring him back. And then the other series, like each person in this family kind of has like an experience where they end up going through this dimension, going back to that dimension, or into other dimensions that are connected to the Tesseract, I guess. It's weird. It's definitely really weird. Um, it is an interesting read. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've read them, so I can't necessarily say whether I liked them or not. I definitely found them interesting when I first read them, but that was one of those ones where like I didn't quite comprehend it as much as I would have liked to. So yeah, if I were to go back and read it, maybe I would like it better. But like I did end up reading a couple of the books in the series because I think it's like a 5-book series, which starts with A Wrinkle in Time. I read A Wrinkle in Time, A Wind in the Door, and then A Swiftly Tilting Planet. And then the other two I never ended up reading just because I don't think I ended up finding them in the library. But if you're interested, it's called, the first one's A Wrinkle in Time. It's a series is by Madeline L'Engle.
I've heard of that. It sounds familiar, but I've definitely never read it and or seen it. So, Wrinkle in Time.
They made a movie. Disney made a movie a few years back. I think it was back in like 2011, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to see it, but I don't remember much from it, just because I think I was on a date, so I don't think I was paying attention to the movie necessarily. But they did also. I think they made I want to say that they made like a TV miniseries back in the day. When I don't necessarily know. But it was like a made-for-TV sort of movie, or like a 2-parter or 3-parter or something like that. Book is inspired 2003 TV film. Maybe that's it. Oh yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't remember much about the movie. I thought there was an older one too, but maybe that was something else. But yeah. Tesseract to other planets, preparing the children for a mission to rescue Dr. Murray from the malevolent It on the planet Camazotz. The planet Camazotz.
Camazotz.
Well, yeah, that's interesting because that's the name of it's an Aztec night god, if I'm not mistaken, or god of death. It's the bat god.
Nice. So it's got a little Aztec inspiration. Seems like.
Camazotz. Oh, Mayan, sorry. Translates to death bat in the Quiche language. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely an interesting read. I remember back in the day. I would definitely have to go back and either watch the movie again or read the book, more likely, to give a better summary of it. It was definitely, it's it's one of those books that's kind of out there. Just because, and I think some of it has to do with like there is some like definite like science elements in it, like quantum mechanics or like quantum theory of relativity, things to that nature. So it doesn't like dive too deep into that stuff, but I think the author probably, like, especially at the time that they wrote this, it was like much more of a new thing that people were hearing about, so they were probably inspired to write stuff about it, I would imagine. But yeah. What else, gentlemen? Are there any other books that that pop out to you? Either ones that you grew up with, or maybe ones that you even might want to read in the future that you either have been meaning to, or you just haven't gotten a chance to yet, or maybe it's something that keeps your eye or keeps your attention.
2024 core rules for D&D. I got them for Christmas, and I've read some of the pages in there. No, there's nothing on my there is nothing on my current wanting to read list. So, but I do have a few other books that I've read. I don't want to say when I was a kid. I mean, years ago, but they actually had a book series for Doom. I think it was 4 books, and it was like a narration of the. Well, I guess let's talk about Doom for a second here, because there's a lot to unpack with Doom, I suppose. So obviously, it started off as a video game, right? And then they did a book series, which I really liked. It was good. It was like a different perspective, because when you played old school Doom, like your protagonist and even the Dooms now, he didn't talk. So reading words and like reading what he's thinking in pages is very different. And like the way that they describe, because like on the screen you're just like, oh, I know that's an imp, I know that's a cake demon, I know that's the cyber demon, but they don't just say that in the book, because they don't the protagonist doesn't know what the monsters are called, or the demons. Sorry, not monsters. The demons are called, so they have to describe them. I'm like, oh, I know what that is. So it's very interesting to see it in a different light, I suppose. And then going off that, I don't know, I don't really know if anybody really knew this, but they had a Doom movie starring The Rock.
I did know that.
And man, because the books were good, the games were my favorite games growing up. So when I went to see this movie, I was like, I'm gonna see like Keiko demons on the big screen, cyber demons, and all this. No, the movie was sad. The movie was. If you take the Doom name out of the movie, it was a good movie, but it wasn't a good Doom movie. Actually, it was an okay movie. It was not an okay Doom movie, right? So they actually had another Doom movie that came out. I think it was a Netflix Doom movie.
I have heard about these actually.
And the Doom books or the movies?
I've heard of the Doom movies. So I knew about the first one just because it was advertised and it was in theaters. There's 1 or 2 other movies I think that were quote unquote direct to DVD. That I hear are better than that first one, but still don't really have much to do with the video game.
And I think that's the problem. So is that what you're expecting to see on the big screen and what they do with the movie is in the movie with The Rock, they were like, oh, it's an extra chromosome which is making these things mutate, and it's like, no, they literally burrowed in the center of Mars, opened a portal to hell, and basically unleashed hell all over the place. Spoilers if you didn't play the first couple Doom games. So, no, it's not an extra chromosome that makes, an imp what it is. Like, come on. You could have at least gotten the lore right even if you didn't put the rest of the demons in the movie. But the books followed the game, and I thought the books were a really good read. It does get boring at times, and there are other people with the Doomslayer, but they were good books. I highly recommend, if you like the Doom series, picking them up. I don't remember who wrote them. I don't even remember if they're if you can buy them anymore. I'm sure you could, right? They don't. Do they stop making? Oh yeah, they're there. There's 4 of them. Knee Deep in the Dead, Hell on Earth, Infernal Sky, and Endgame. So book 1 was Doom 1, book 2 was Doom 2, book 3 was not the final Doom, and I don't remember much of Endgame. I think that was more like the final Doom than book 3 was, but they were good. I recommend picking those up and giving them a read if you like the Doom. I don't want to say lore.
Sure.
Yeah, it's lore. It basically adds to the lore, right? That's what it does. So, but sticking with like the whole video game book thing, some of my favorite games growing up were Blizzard games. So StarCraft, Warcraft, and Diablo. And they actually have a book series on every single video game. And some of them follow the video game, and others add to, again, the lore, the story. The the StarCraft game for the Terran followed Jim Raynor, and for the Zerg it follows Kerrigan. But you get to see other perspectives in the books, and they're really good. Same thing with Warcraft. If you like, Warcraft to me is like Warhammer, because there's just so much to unpack. There's so many theories. There's so much of this and that. The book series for Warcraft. I think there's even a comic book series now, I think, for Warcraft too, if I'm not mistaken. They're really good. What's up?
I said, oh.
Yeah. I don't know if they're still making it, but there's definitely there were definitely comics made on it. So, but again, I really fanboyed over Blizzard games back in the day, and I think I still do today. With I would, if they made a new StarCraft, I'd probably buy it immediately and play it. As much as I love Warcraft and Warcraft lore, and even played World of Warcraft for a long period of my life, I just and don't get me wrong, I do get itches to play every now and then. I'm always like telling Ashley, I was like, I kind of feel like playing WoW, and she looks at me and I'm like, but just the books, and the different perspective and following the characters and stuff like that is really good. It adds. I like how it adds to all that stuff. So, and then speaking of Warhammer, I don't know if you guys knew this. Probably not, because you don't follow Warhammer like crazily. But Warhammer has book series out the wazoo.
I figured as much.
So yeah, you can my favorite Space Marines used to be the Ultramarines. They were like the goody two shoes of the Warhammer universe, even though there's no real good guys in their universe, and I think we covered that. I feel like I've said that on the podcast before. But what?
I said space racism.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So, but I think they were called the Ultramarines Omnibus, and it was basically like every Ultramarine story put into one book, and there was 2 of them at the time of me reading them, and I kind of treated it like Harry Potter, because I wanted to know like the next thing that was happening. I needed to know like if they were going to survive that battle, or like what the tier hold on, not the Tyranids. Yeah, Tyranids. Tyranids?
Isn't
Yes.
that from Helldivers? No.
No, Tyranids are from Warhammer. Helldivers is the... Oh, what were they called in Helldivers? I don't remember. It's been a while. Anyway, Like I want to know about the Tyranids and the Necrons and the Terminids. The Terminids are Helldivers. So very close. The Tyranids are from Warhammer. The Terminids are from Helldivers, and the Zerg is from StarCraft. All basically the same alien bug race type things. But the Tyranids from Warhammer, it's like they act like the Zerg, or I should say the Zerg act like them. It's a hive mind kind of idea, and one of the books it was them kind of up against them at like they were defending, and I think there's only 4 Space Marines when this was going on, and they were like slaying thousands of Tyranids.
Damn.
Yeah, so like if you don't know about like the Space Marines, they're basically mostly robotic at that point. Their brain is human-ish, but they have so many enhancements like connected into their suit that they're basically not human. They don't need to sleep. They barely need to eat. I don't even think they need to eat actually.
Damn.
Their suit makes them super fast, and that's why like if you ever like watch anything Space Marine wise, like if you watch like any fan made stuff or whatever, they almost seem like they're invincible. And they're not. They can die for sure, but it takes a lot to kill them. So, or one good blast from So the whole thing too with the Space Marine thing is when they die, like Space Marines never truly die because then they just take their, even if it's a mangled body or part or whatever, or their brain, they put it into what's called dreadnought, and then it's basically it's you inside of a dreadnought mech. So they just keep recycling their Space Marines until it truly just they can't do it anymore. So and then there's so many chapters of Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines, and there's like 12 races in the world. The lore is deep. So like when I was reading the books, like my favorite race or species, since races, they're trying to phase that word out. My favorite species from Warhammer is the Necrons. They're basically like space mummies with giant plasma rifles. I think we might have talked about this off the podcast on one of our work shit chats that we did. Because I remember sending pictures of some of their minis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, they're my favorites, and then I probably Chaos and then Space Marines. So, I like the Tyranids too, but I don't think I could ever paint those models. They're just so intricate, and like every Tyranid, like you can't just paint it like one color. Like Chaos Space Marines, it's either all blue for that god or all black for Chaos United or whatever it is. But anyway, yeah, I digress. I also another good Space Marine chapter is the Salamanders. I mean, they're not good. Their Salamanders are probably like the Vigilantes. Is it the Salamanders? I don't know. There's so many. It's hard to keep track of. But I had the Salamanders omnibus, and I read that, and that one's really cool too. So I read a lot of Warhammer back in the day, which was Wednesday.
Nice.
Oh, I just Carlos Mencia. I stole a joke. Oh, I did it again. Oh shit. Can you cut that out? Can we cut that out on post?
Nope, it's staying in.
Don't do drugs.
Drugs are bad. Okay.
Okay. But I think we finally crested my my reading experience. I don't know. I'm not sure I can add any more to this conversation. I'm just gonna,
Dan, was there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I don't really have much else to say.
Um,
my reading experience is short. Oh, I got a funny story though. Remember those little when they used to give us little personal pizzas from
Book It.
Pizza Hut? Yeah, I used to lie on those all the time. I actually, it goes back to the Harry Potter. I told because we were supposed to read like a smaller book like every weekend or something, like second grade, and I had light on it, and I put that I read the whole Harry Potter book in like 2 days, and my teacher called me up. She was like, "You didn't read this whole book in 2 days." I was insisting that it was. This was in like second grade. I was like, "Fuck, just give me my pizza."
I did read it.
But yeah, I used to lie on those things all the time.
Nice, you thief. No, just kidding.
Hey, I was getting my pizza one way or another.
That's when Pizza Hut was really. Well, I like Pizza Hut still, but
It was better.
It was back in the day.
Back when you couldn't out pizza the Hut.
True. Very true. Yeah, I remember Book It. I used to read because I know we would go get pizza and breadsticks. So.
Yeah, bring back bribing children to read.
I think do they not still have it?
I don't know.
I thought they still had some sort of Book It.
They might.
Book It. Pizza Hut Book It program. You know those freaking personal pan pizzas right now cost $7.99?
Oh, wow.
The medium pizza with breadsticks is like $9.99.
I bet you for now they just give you a 20% off coupon. They're like, we're not giving out pizzas in this economy.
No, for real. I'm pretty sure the personal pans are like.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Yeah, completely off topic. I went to Subway the other day, and you know how they have the pizzas there?
Yeah.
That shit was like $15.
Yeah, you might as well got an
I was
extra.
like, dude, I'm never coming back to Subway again. Everything's so expensive.
You know, I went to Subway and got a sub recently, and I think I texted Ashley. I'm like, "There's no point in going to Subway because I think the sub cost me $22."
Isn't that ridiculous, dude? The last meatball sub I got was like fucking. It was a foot long, but still, it was like $18, $19. I was like, this is ridiculous.
What?
Like, at this point, I'm just going to Jimmy John's or Jersey Mike's.
Might as well
get a better. No, Firehouse subs. That's where I'm going.
Personal pan pizza. $7.69, but also it's advertising the medium at $15.99, and then I know there's always a deal with a medium pizza. So
that's crazy.
Deal medium pizza. Where is it? Personal pan pizza and the side $7.99. Oh, did they get rid of the medium pizza? Oh no! Book It. Bundle, 2 large pizzas and breadsticks, $30. What happened to Pizza Hut?
Ouch.
What is going on?
At that point, we're getting something else.
Oh, $8.99 medium pizza and topping.
That's not bad if it's still good.
Wait, I swear these prices were. Oh my goodness gracious! Hey, this counts because I'm reading the website, Nico. So it still goes with your book. I'm reading. Shut up.
Shut up, bitch. What are you talking about?
Oh man, yeah, I do remember doing the Book It. I remember that.
Apparently, the fucking soundboard doesn't want to work anymore.
Oh,
shut up, bitch! There it is. If you were still rewarded for reading, would you read more?
Hell yeah. In this economy, yeah.
Free pizza, hell yeah. Shit, I'll read 10 books. Come on. Need to feed my family. Oh, well, I don't really have too much more. I mean, there's a ton of other books and stuff that, well, maybe not a ton of other books, I lied. And there's a few other books that I've read. One that kind of stands out to me that I was going to talk about, kind of one that I got as a gift and I ended up really liking it. It's called Kill the Messenger by Tammy Hogue. It's basically like a it's a thriller novel basically, and it's about like a bike messenger in LA, and he's basically kind of like raising his little brother and has to try to make ends meet, and he kind of gets involved in like some sort of scandal in with one of the freaking customers of his that he has to deliver to, regarding a package that he was supposed to deliver, and I don't think he did or something. Basically, it's like there's a murder mystery sort of thing, along with like bribes and like attorneys and all this other crap. So it was definitely interesting. I thought it would be like a series, but it's not. It was just like a one and done sort of deal. So, but it was a good enough book. I've read it a couple of times. I have not read any more by this author though. Which apparently that might have been. Oh no, she has a bunch of series that she's written. But yeah. Other than that, I don't know that I have anything other to talk about other than comic books, which was its own episode. So
Fables.
You're talking about Fables?
No, I've read it, so I just said Fables.
Oh. Oh yeah, that's right. The comic book series, right?
Yes. Yeah.
With Big B Wolf.
Yes. Big B Wolf and Snow White. Fables.
Red Riding Hood.
Yeah. I was gonna pull it out when you guys were over the other day, but I chose against it.
Pull something out.
Oh, you should. Oh.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, I could have, but you never know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, how are we looking on beers then?
I'm all wrapped up with mine 3.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm finishing up my last as well. So, I think we can call it there. How does that sound, fellas?
Sounds great.
Good.
Well, as another episode of Friday Night Shit Chat. Thanks for joining us. What else? Well, please like and subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Comment down below what your favorite books that you've read or would like to read are. If we mentioned any that maybe you've read or maybe that you'd like to read, let us know as well.
Feel free to recommend beers as well.
Oh, hell
Yes.
yeah, dude.
Beers, not books. Beers. Remember that.
Beers, books, comic books.
Battlestar
movies.
Galactica.
On that note, folks, thanks for joining us again. I've been your host, Nico, joined as always by my friends Nick and Dan. And have an awesome Friday night.
We're friends?
Oh fuck, right off.
How long I've been waiting for this.